Appreciate the defensive tackle you just gave my Las Vegas Raiders.
Dude,
Christian Wilkins.
there's no words. I guess they think that somehow Tua is going to have another record-breaking season, but somehow it's going to result in not having to go to negative 13-degree weather in the playoffs, and they somehow think that they're going to be able to win at home, which I got news for you. If you have to go into the cold again, it's going to be your defense that wins because God knows Tua's little hands can't handle the ball when it's cold out.
That's why he doesn't go to Burger King. Can't handle the burgers. Can't handle those Whoppers.
Yeah, I don't know what the Dolphins are just unloading. I mean, so it happens all the money they're having to pay people these days. They can't keep
It's
anybody.
outrageous. I will say
But
this though, it's not going to be cold next year in the playoffs because you're going to be inside Allegiant Stadium, Las Vegas.
I
Super Bowl
thought
runs through Vegas, baby.
I thought you were gonna say because of climate change, but
No, Las Vegas, Nevada.
yeah, maybe, probably,
I mean, you got the
probably
two
will be.
two
Uh,
bookends out of the MAC in Crosby and Kuntz. Then you have that juggernaut in the middle.
well, the Dolphins will be like 11-2, and then they'll lose to like three really bad teams at the end of the year to just choke the season away, and then they'll go probably Kansas City, Buffalo, somewhere cold. They'll probably Buffalo will probably be playing somebody else, and they'll cancel the game because it's too cold there. But it'll be a record cold in Kansas City, but they won't cancel that thing. Do you see that? Like
Isn't that
70?
something?
Did you see all the frostbitten fans? And they
No.
recommended, yeah, dude. I don't know the number, so I don't want to speculate, but they
Ninety
like
percent of the people who went to the game or who went to the game who had to go to the hospital, 90% of
they
them were recommended
amputate.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
What?
yeah.
yeah. But Buffalo. But listen, this is my thing, dude. Yeah. Okay, they moved the game in Buffalo because of the snow, which whatever, because it was too dangerous for fans to travel to the stadium. Yet the Buffalo Bills organization still incentivized fans to travel to the stadium to shovel the damn snow.
I know.
Meanwhile, in Kansas City, the fans are getting frostbitten,
That's
and they
wild.
didn't cancel that game. They're playing against the damn team from Miami, the one team in the entire NFL that doesn't have temperatures below like 50 has to go to a frostbitten tundra of Kansas City.
Well, handle your business in the regular season, and then
Don't blow a 13-point lead to the Titans with 2 minutes to go at home,
yeah,
and then you play. Then that game is in Miami,
you're fine.
and it's Buffalo, and there's not a game in Buffalo. There's not a game in. I mean, yeah, I know, Jeff. You don't have to tell me twice.
Wow.
A lot of
Okay.
things have been happening. By the way,
Uh-huh.
dude, I think I'm getting old, but I've been like in the car a lot lately. Like I've had to go. So like the last 3 weeks, I went to Birmingham and back on Friday, and then Atlanta and back on Friday, then Murfreesboro and back on Saturday, and then this past weekend Atlanta and back again on Friday. Dude, I don't know if it's like a sciatica or like what that is, the QL, I think. Dude, I've been like walking a little bit sideways. It's bad.
Yeah, foam roll. Stretch the hips out.
I've been trying, dude. But anyway, ready to get this show cranked up or what?
Let's do it.
Are you ready?
Go when you're ready.
Tip, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Good evening and welcome into the number one Group of Five football podcast in all of the universe. This is the Group of Five Guys. We are the Group of Five Guys. If you're new here, if you don't know who we are, our mission is to be the voice for the Group of Five football programs that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to do. Although we have seen a little bit of an uptick, I think, from some of the mainstream media types in Group of Five support. But we need everybody's continuous help. We need you to follow us on all the social platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to groupof5guys.com, get you some Group of Five Guys swag. Most importantly, go to YouTube, Apple Podcast, Spotify, wherever you get your best podcast. Subscribe to the channel, give us a 5-star rating and a review, and tell your family and friends all about us. In this episode, we're going to talk about the Combine, winners and losers. And this is on request. QB transfer winners and losers, kind of a quarterback carousel, if you will, along with the coaching carousel. So we're going to talk about those winners and losers. We're going to talk a little bit NFL draft. We might even talk about court and field storming, plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. Have you had it from somebody born and raised in Lafayette, Louisiana, at a tailgate? Doubt it.
I said Michael Pratt has got to show up and play, and boy did he. 394 yards, 4 touchdowns, 48 rushing yards on the ground, and another touchdown.
Projected getting drafted between the first and third round. Like, that's incredible.
That's
The wide receivers are absolutely stacked for the group of 5.
Yeah, I really appreciate you do for the group of 5 programs, and I think it's great. I think we should get more of this, but you guys are on the forefront of this. And
I'm thankful for this. I'm glad that you're talking about the group of 5 because I think they get overlooked.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
I got to tell you guys, it's allergy season for sure. I don't know if it's hit y'all yet.
It's blooming.
But dude, I washed my truck on Sunday, and on Monday morning, my bed cover was yellow already. I'm like, dang, dude. I got me some local honey. And then I got my Claritin. We'll see. I usually have like a 3-week window where it's like really bad for me. I start sleeping with the little nose strips. Yeah, dude, I'm gonna tell you. Well, that's a big fad now, anyway. Nose strips and the mouth tape.
I saw the mouth tape. I don't understand that. I don't.
Well, it's to incentivize nose breathing. I believe.
Is that supposed to be better?
Open up your airwaves.
I got bad sinuses
Oh,
to begin
dude,
with.
I'll tell you. Just go to Walmart and get you the Breathe Right nose strips. I feel like Reggie White used to wear that or something, or you go watch those old NFC Green Bay Packer playoff games and stuff. There's always somebody with a nose strip. But yeah, highly recommend at nighttime, especially when you go to bed. But anyway, I'm not sure why I thought about saying that. I was just thinking, I was like,
spring is sprung.
Well, I was preparing a sneeze, and so I was like, if I start sneezing on the live show, I need everybody to at least understand what's going on. But I think it's bad because I cut the grass this weekend too, first cut of the year. But what that tells you? Fresh cut grass. We're getting some rain, getting some showers. Football's upon us. That's what that means.
The corner spring ball is getting ready to kick off for some programs.
We're ready to kick off, buddy. We're about to have spring games here for some programs.
Most of them are 4/20, April 20.
I know. It seems like all the ones that we pondered going to are all on the same weekend. So that's a little bit frustrating. But before we go any further, NCAA tournament is on the horizon as well, which means 2 things. One, if you are going to go to any games, conference tournament games, or into the NIT, NCAA tournament, any of them, make sure you check SeatGeek first. See if they've got the tickets available. Use our code Group of 5 Guys, all one word, no spaces. Group of 5 Guys. They'll give you $20 off your order. That's on SeatGeek. Also, to make these games even more entertaining, I know everybody does a bracket, but head on over to Prize Picks. Use our code GOFG. They'll actually match your first time deposit up to $100. So NCAA tournament is a big, fantasy and betting type time of the year. But definitely go over to SeatGeek, use our code Group of 5 Guys, all one word, or go to Prize Picks, use our code GOFG, make it a little more fun. Speaking of college basketball, guys, I want to say 2 points. Number one, I'm gonna admit something here. I am more dialed into the women's side right now than I am on the men.
I agree.
I am. And I think it's to be as transparent as possible. It's because some of the women are starting to play and act more like the men. And they're a little more flashy. They're talking trash. They're a little more physical. And I like it. That's what I like watching. I like I was watching that LSU South Carolina game the other day, and everybody's all up in arms because that one girl pushed the other girl. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. Reminded me of Udonis Haslam, telling Tyler Hansborough to. I mean, I liked it. Now, on the other hand, though, which was the biggest problem of that little episode, is the one girl's like brother comes on the court. Did y'all see that?
No,
the LSU girl.
I missed
the
that.
LSU girl that got pushed down. Her brother was like sitting front row, jumped over the scorer's table and ran onto the court. But there was a police officer that was on his ass. So, from what I understand, a young man had to pay either a hefty fine or he's sitting behind bars somewhere.
No, I'm with you, Sprouse. And honestly, for me, the main reason is because MTSU's women's team is really, really good, and I don't know what seed we're going to get in the tournament. But I got something I got to say here. How do you go undefeated in conference and not? How does Rick Insell not win Coach of the Year? Can somebody explain that to me? You give it to, and I don't know FIU's coaches, but you go undefeated in conference, not
what
lose
are they? 26-4? Is that what the overall
something like
is?
that? 16-0 in conference, and
Let me ask you this:
get Coach of the Year. I don't understand what the qualifications are for that award.
I'll tell you what it is, and maybe you can help me with this. Has he won it? Does he win it like most of the time?
I don't know. I'm not. I don't know the answer to that question.
It's what do they call it? Voter fatigue. It's the same reason you won't get an MVP in the NBA all the time. When realistically, it could have been LeBron for like 10 years straight for a while there, but he doesn't get it. That's what it is, and it's almost like you're punished for achieving expectations.
Yeah, or just having year in and year out being a dominant program.
Yeah.
But no, weird
but
stuff.
I think you're right. If they're seeded anything, to me, if they're seeded anything above, if they're 10 or higher, I think they're going to win at least a game.
Yeah.
The thing that I'm worried about is if they sit them there at a 12 or a 13 and they get one of these, because South Carolina is going to be the one. They're going to be the one overall. Your ones will be what? South Carolina, Iowa, more than likely.
Yeah.
I don't even know who else.
Maybe
State,
USC.
Maybe. Yeah, USC.
Stanford.
Yeah. And then, but you got like somebody like LSU is probably going to be like a 3.
Yeah.
3 or a 4. So you get screwed somehow and are a 13 or a 14 and you get somebody like LSU in the first round. I mean, that's tough.
Buzzsaw.
But you would think with as much success as they have, they would get a higher seed.
Yeah.
But you already know they're going to be probably, 10, 11, 12 seed.
If they run through the conference tournament too, I think that's that's tough to put a 26-4 undefeated in conference and has a win over Tennessee.
Yeah.
And their losses are to other, high 20, Princeton, Belmont, somebody else. All teams that have won like 25 plus games. I mean, they've lost close and they've blown out everybody.
Pretty much everybody.
Conference. So I agree. I mean, I think I'd love to see them as an 8 or 9.
That'd be sick.
Would be tight.
Well, we'll see.
Anyway, then on the men's side, so we got to discuss this. So there was a lot of stuff about the Duke guy, Filipowski or whatever, getting injured when the Wake Forest fans rushed the court. And it was kind of eerily similar to the Caitlin Clark scenario when, Indiana women's fans rushed the court. Now, from my angle, both of them looked like they just completely flopped. And then, so specific to this Duke guy, Filipowski, I mean, you go down the list of Duke players like this, Grayson Allen, JJ Redick was, I don't think was this bad, but the Christian Laettner, borderline dirty. Grayson Allen, that guy ain't no borderline about that guy. That guy's dirty. Filipowski, I don't know enough about yet. Christian Laettner.
Who was the one the other day that somebody was stepping over him and he
was
like
Filipowski.
Was that him? Okay.
He tripped, and there's no question that was done on purpose.
Yeah,
no question.
1000%.
But this is the same guy that was so worried that him and his coach are crying in the press conference that somebody's going to get hurt by a fan. Which, okay, maybe, but you're out there doing intentional things. So if a fan runs into you, I think it would be a very, very rare situation if a fan intentionally ran into a player on the
and 5, 6, or 7 days after that injury, he's out there in a game doing a windmill dunk.
Yeah, after it was catastrophic, they were acting like that guy was going to have. They acted like that guy got frostbite in Kansas City and they had to amputate his leg. I mean, and he's tripping a guy against North Carolina, and it's just like, dude, it's typical Duke, man. And you wonder why do people hate Duke? That's why, because they whine and cry, but then they do dirty stuff. And here's the other thing: Duke fans, during the game, are literally they do that. They're putting their hands out or whatever. They're finger length away from players, but yet their coach is crying that fans have no. I mean, it's just. But anyway, so let's talk about it. Thoughts on storming the court, rushing the field. Jeff, go for it.
Unfortunately, in this day and age, I think you have to put stipulations on it. I think for championship games, I'm okay with it. Regular season games, I think it's becoming overused, and with the lack of just general respect we have for people in this day and age, you're asking for something bad to happen. At some point, you're gonna have a fan that's probably had a couple beers or something and really hates another team, and somebody's gonna take a swing on a player, or vice versa. Shades of the Malice at the Palace. I know that wasn't on the court, but you're just asking for that to happen, in my opinion. And when you just do it, I mean, it seems like it's happening honestly once a week now. I think it should be reserved for championship games, and I don't even know how you'd put that into stipulations other than hey, you storm the court any other game other than this, we're gonna arrest you or ban you. I don't know how they do that, but I just think it's become too much, and you're literally asking for something bad to happen.
Well, back in the day, it used to be, and this is sort of my thought on it. It used to be only if it was a major upset.
Yeah.
So if the home team, unranked home dog, beats a top 10 team, go for it. But also, I feel like you can't do it if it's a rivalry game. If you're supposed to be rivals, you don't rush the court when you win, because that's admitting I'm little brother, and that's admitting that it's an upset. And I don't know, where it gets dangerous is when it's the game's not over until it's over, because that's when you have both teams still on the court, both teams, a lot of adrenaline, and they're, the fans rush the court right as the game is ending, and the visiting team's still on the court. Now, if it's a potential blowout or something like that, then your emotions are kind of you've accepted the loss. You're gonna get off the court as quick as you can. Maybe some of the starters are out, but I don't know what the answer to make it safer is. It's also a lot different in basketball than it is in football, because football, the field's so big, it takes fans so long to get. I mean, that's honestly, it's more dangerous for the fans that are these people trying to jump over the damn.
Yeah.
They're getting stuck in bushes and stuff all the time.
Well, it doesn't happen in the NFL, so they've got it figured out. I just think it's unnecessary, and I'm not trying to take away from the college aspect of it. But what's going to happen is and we've already had a couple of these run-ins. Just wait till something happens and it gets physical, like a fight, and then somebody's going to get sued, and then you're going to be in big trouble. So I think it's unnecessary, man. Have a good time in the stands. Like most of the time, the players go right up to the stands anyways to celebrate with them.
Yeah.
I just think it's unnecessary. I'm not really a fan of it.
Tip, what do you think?
I don't know. I keep going back and forth. I personally like it. I mean, I agree with the side of the player safety. I think there is room for improvement there. You could, I don't know how difficult it would be to get more security there. And, maybe I saw, I think right after the incident, I can't remember where, which college football arena it was at, but they were like practicing before the game about the scenario of fans rushing the court. But I think there could be a way to maybe increase the number of security that are there and focus solely on like your coach and your player safety, and just get away for them to safely get back to their locker rooms while the fans are on the court or on the football field, whatever the situation is. I just don't think it's going anywhere. And, because it's just hard to manage it, especially when you have a big time upset. I do agree with rivalry games. I don't think it should be happening there for those, but big time upsets, championship games, they're gonna be there, and they're gonna continue to be there. So really, what you can do is just how do you manage it from a player's safety and a coach's safety perspective.
Yeah, well, and in football, at least the head coaches always have one or two like state highway patrol guys with them. And then,
but to Murph's point, like especially like in football, when the players have pads and helmets, if you have an upset visiting player and a drunk, fan get into it, and then all of a sudden a football helmet's getting thrown at a fan, or that's the situation that cannot happen.
Yeah, because you're going to have
it's
a
hard
serious injury there if
exactly.
That happens. Now, and I'll say this is playing a part of it too. It's like everything else that was once good and is now potentially ruined, like social media, man. Because if you watch a court storm or somebody rushing the field, every single fan is on Facebook Live or Instagram Live.
Yeah.
And so they're all trying to, like, it's almost like they're trying to one up each other. So somebody's going to be like, let me see how close I can get to the other team's quarterback or the other team's coach. And I'm going to yell something in his face because I'm on live and I feel protected because I'm on social media. But they don't realize is now you're face to face with somebody who
just lost a game,
lost a game.
Yeah.
And look, I don't care what anybody says. Like, yeah, you want to control your emotions, but also like what makes a lot of people good at a sport is the aggression and like that kind of emotional stuff. So, I don't know. I think we're probably making a bigger deal out of it than it actually is because the Duke people start whining. It's like, it's like anything. Once the big brand starts complaining about it, now it's a big problem all of a sudden. So I think that's what's happening to a degree, but
I mean, to Murph's point though, I mean, it just seems like almost like a ticking time bomb. Like it's inevitable. I don't know. It's just something you never really thought about because you really haven't had too many instances that I can remember other than this recent Duke one that that happened.
The Duke and the Caitlin Clark. It's just the storming and field stuff's happening more frequent. So like you're having more opportunities for something to happen. And I don't know.
It is a lot of added risk for sure. I mean, definitely is.
I just think it's unnecessary in most cases, like unless you get the big upset or something. But anyways.
Well, anyway, yeah, I mean, either way, I hope they continue to rush the court anytime somebody beats Duke. But so let's talk QBs, Jeff. This is your area of expertise, Jeff. So, we've talked about the head coaches and these coaches going here, going there, leaving here, leaving there. We've talked a little bit about just the transfer portal in general and winners and losers, but let's talk specific to quarterbacks. Just give me just to start, just give me one or two of your top, winners from a team standpoint of keeping or getting a quarterback in the portal.
Man, I really think I think there's at least 5 or 6 that won. Now I'll give you a couple, and I'm gonna go this route because I know you guys will bring up some other ones. I'm gonna go with teams retaining their top starting quarterback because in this day and age of NIL, we know how competitive it is and just that whole market. You got to go Liberty with Caden Salter. I mean, you're able to keep that kid in Lynchburg. Over 3,000 total yards, 32. What is it? 44 total between passing and rushing touchdowns. Like that is a ton of offensive production. Staying another year in that system, we know Chadwell's got that dialed in. He's going to get, he's gotten some pieces in the portal to kind of help with the pieces that they lost. So I think that Liberty, you got to say that's a huge win. When it looked like at one time, especially with our sources, like he was going to be gone, and that was going to be a huge hit. And then I'm going to go Memphis. Seth Hennigan staying in Memphis. I mean, that guy had an incredible year. They are returning a ton of firepower on offense, and it starts with him. 3,800 yards passing last year, 32 touchdowns, additional 5 on the ground. I don't know how Memphis is not going to be one of the top, contenders to win the American Conference, especially with that kid at the helm. So I'm going to go with those two retaining their starting quarterbacks. I think that's huge, Memphis and Liberty.
Well, yeah, I would tell you this, especially from a Liberty standpoint. I think if they would have lost Salter, I think they still would have been a favorite, if not the favorite in Conference USA, but I don't think they were a playoff contender without him. And I think with him, I think they probably got to run the table, but if they run the table again, I think there's a strong chance they get the nod for the Group of 5. And then Memphis is just they've been so close.
Yeah.
And I think they have all the pieces right now. The problem is that what they've had the last couple of years is, they get over, they finally get rid of, the Cincinnatis and the UCFs of the world, but then all of a sudden here's Tulane. And so, I think in the American right now, I think it's, without really digging into schedules and stuff, Memphis and Tulane I got to be the two favorites in the American. Besides maybe that team out of South Florida, if you've heard of them. Tip, what about you? You got a couple winners from the QB carousel.
Well, I think the overall winner has to be Salter, just because of what Jeff mentioned. And you have these other quarterbacks that we're going to mention that are going to new teams, new systems. You just never know if it's a good fit or if it's gonna click right off the bat or not. All these guys are super talented going to these new schools and have a chance to do something great for these schools. Talking about the quarterbacks that are going to a new school, I'll go with Jordan McLeod going from James Madison down to Texas State. I think he is going to be in the best position just from what we saw TJ Finley do in that offense at Texas State last year. You have Jordan McLeod come in, who I personally think is a better passer, and he can also run the ball. And you saw Finley do that last year. So I think this fits McLeod very well. And I think this offense will be a good fit for him. Speaking of TJ Finley, he also is a transfer, and I think he's a winner as well. He's bringing a new dynamic to Western Kentucky that they haven't had with their recent quarterbacks, and that is the quarterback that's able to rush the ball, that has that part of his game. I think that's gonna open up a lot of stuff in that playbook for Western Kentucky. That kind of gets rid of some of the risk and some of it gives more opportunity for stuff to open up on the field both in the passing and the rushing, kind of give a break to the receivers and to the running backs a little bit, just open stuff up. And we saw him do it in Texas State, so I think he's going to fit right in at Western Kentucky and just add that extra with extra running that's just going to add a little more dynamic to that already explosive offense in Bowling Green.
Western Kentucky, other than this past year, for whatever reason, has really just been a quarterback and receiver heaven. I mean, to put up numbers, and Finley's a little different than these last few guys that they've had. So I think I said it last time we got on here, he's just with his size, he's going to be such a problem for Conference USA defenses. He's going to be such a pain in the ass to get down. I mean, they're going to put pressure on him. He's going to be getting out of stuff. He is going to be a real challenge for defenses in Conference USA. You guys hit on all the. I think those are the main winners. I think
there's a sleeper winner.
Yeah, I got a couple that I want to bring up. So, Malachi Nelson going to Boise State is probably the biggest splash because he's the highest recruit.
Was the highest recruit. It's amazing.
That was before he went to the Group of Five. Jeff, that's my apologies.
5-star going to USC. Magically now he's just a 4-star going to Boise.
Here's what I'll say. I mean, he is unproven, right? He's only thrown 3 passes. He threw 3 passes at USC. I think he's 1 of 3. But clearly, talent perspective and from a recruiting perspective, it's also, look, I mean, we say a lot of stuff about Caleb Williams, but I mean, look, Nelson spent a year under Lincoln Riley, who's been pushing out elite quarterbacks for a long time. So, for what it's worth. And then he goes to a place, Jeff, you mentioned it before the show. He goes to probably the best or quarterback friendly roster. I mean, definitely in the Group of 5, probably top 5 or 10 in the country, just as far as having that running game there.
And we obviously don't know yet because, like you said, Sprouse, he's not proven at the college level yet. But this has the chance to be an opportunity to where Boise State actually improved at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
And that's crazy to say with a good season that Taylon Green had. But then he goes to Arkansas, and you bring in this highly recruited kid that was coming out of high school, hasn't played much in college, obviously, but has the chance to be the guy at Boise State and play for the next 2 seasons there and be the starter and do some great things there, and has the chance to get this Boise State team into the college football playoff. And it helps when you got the best running back in all of college football too.
Well, and if Nelson turns out to be what everybody thinks he can, Boise State has the potential to be what they were not that long ago, where they're not, Boise State's the best Group of 5 team. I mean, there was seasons when Boise State was preseason number 3 in the country. I remember they went and played Virginia Tech in DC or wherever they played them, and everybody on College Game Day was sitting there talking about how Virginia Tech just had too much talent for little old Boise State, and Boise State went in there and beat them, and Boise State beat Oregon 2 years in a row. And so I think Boise State they got all the makings to get back to that, but it's going to come to quarterback play. And I also still think, you brought up Taylon Green, I still think there was something weird going on with that. I absolutely hated the way that they played both quarterbacks last year. And I think it was something to do, whether it's the coach or whether it was Green, there was some type of disconnect where they did not trust that guy in the game. So, and then you got anything on Nelson, Jeff?
And other than, he's going to be, I think he's going to be the purest passer that they've had in quite some time. Now, obviously, there's just a lot of high school film on him, and this is a different game from high school to college. But, I mean, the kid's 6'3", 190 pounds. He's probably put on some weight as well. I just think a quarterback's best friend is a damn good running game. And I'm just looking up this stat right now. You know who the number 1 running back was with 10-plus yards or more, per play? Ashton Jeanty. That guy had 58 10-plus yard more play, whether it was a catch or a run from scrimmage. I mean, that guy's just a production factory on its own, and he's not even a guy that's out wide. So if they do a good job of using that offense, and Dirk Cutter's our offense coordinator now. They can just do a good job, start out, control the tempo with Genty. You're going to get matchups on the outside. Now, they lost their top quarterback, who left like 3/4 of the way through the season last year, in McAllister, so they're going to have some guys come in. But I got faith in them doing that. So I'm high on Boise. I really am.
I want to can I don't know if you have a way to like bookmark and timestamp stuff, but I just want to say right here, right now, at approximately 8:45 on Tuesday, March the 12th, Ashton Genty next year at this time is going to be the guy that Mel Kiper and these guys cannot stop talking about. Senior, he'll have. Well, he's an underclassman still. By the way, just in case anybody was curious, but I think he'll come out. And so if he gets a Senior Bowl invite, Combine invite, he's going to be the guy. So just bookmark that now. Boise, man, they got a very underrated, tough start to the season. They go to Statesboro week 1, all the way across the country, and then week 2 they go to Oregon. So you can get baptized real quick there, Malachi, real quick. A couple other ones I wanted to bring up. This one's under the radar for sure, but Tate Rodemaker going to Southern Miss from Florida State. Now, if you remember, he's the guy that came in for I can't remember the guy's name at Florida State and played well and kept them winning, and then he got hurt. So a little surprised that he transferred. But that's something Southern Miss has been trying to find for a long time. So hopefully he can be that guy, kind of that steady piece at quarterback. And then Ty Thompson coming out of Oregon to Tulane, another one of those Summerall guys that he just somehow figured out how to get that Willie Fritz could never get to Tulane. But, it's going to be tough to replace Michael Pratt, but that's a good start. You get a guy like Ty Thompson. And then here's something for you guys. I don't think anybody's really got this on their radar. But UNLV lost Jaden Mayava to USC, which is weird to me, but that's okay. But then they go out and they get 3 quarterbacks in the portal, all FCS guys. Now, hear me out on this. They go and get Matthew Sluka out of Holy Cross, who over the last 2 years, 46 touchdowns and only 9 picks in the last 2 seasons. And he's a vet now. I think he's going to be a 5th-year guy. Then they go and get another vet, Hodge Malik Williams, out of the Campbell Camels. Last year, this guy had 379 passing attempts, 70% completion rate. How's that good for you? Wasn't like he didn't throw it a lot. So 70% completion rate, and then he has also got 24 career rushing touchdowns. So a little bit more dual threat. And then they got another guy, Dylan Mahortra from Southern University. He's only thrown 1 career pass. So he's probably going to be, QB3 coming out of spring. But you look at those 2 veterans, they got 2 guys that have thrown it all over the place, and one's pretty dual threat. So look out now. Everybody wants to talk about, you get a guy that transfers from the Power 5. But, hey, man, look at some of the stuff that some of these FCS transfers have done. For example, these guys that went to Western Kentucky and had great seasons. So just look out for UNLV. I don't think they're gonna fall off a ton. If not, they might improve. And then a couple that I want to talk about, unfortunately, as sort of losers from this. Coastal losing Grayson McCall. I think Grayson McCall, unfortunately for him, he hasn't really taken the next step. He had that really good year, 3 years ago now, and he hasn't.
Yeah.
He hasn't taken the jump. So I'm not sure. It's going to be tough for Coastal because he has been that piece for Coastal for a long time. But, we'll see what they do. And then Ohio loses Rourke to Indiana, although Rourke has been battling injuries a lot since he's been at Ohio. And then the big one is Toledo losing DeQuan Finn to Baylor. So some of those MAC quarterbacks
I got one to kind of just keep an eye on. I mean, Mikey Keene, he's done at Fresno State, I believe. I got to double check that. And then Logan 5 transfers to Montana, which was their next guy with at least the next guy that had the most experience. So interested to see what Tedford does at Fresno State. And then I think a winner, guys, we hadn't talked about Sprouse. I think Byron Brown staying at South Florida. I think that's a huge win for the Bulls. I mean, they got a little more cheddar down there, and they got the facilities to keep guys in house. But still, if we're going to give Memphis and Liberty credit, you gotta give South Florida. I mean, that guy was a machine down there offensively. So.
No, you're right. I was looking it up. I'm fairly certain Mikey Keene's coming back.
Is he coming back? God, I feel like that kid's been in college for like 7 years.
Bro, they have. These guys have been in college for a long time.
Because he was at UCF for at least 3.
He was at UCF battling out with Dylan Gabriel.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
Who's on his third or fourth school at this point, by the way.
There's one school in one situation where
there's no way. They're saying he's a sophomore. Ain't no way.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe he's coming back then. Maybe
if they red-shirted and then they got the COVID year and then they maybe got hurt, which he has.
Yeah.
You could technically be a fourth-year freshman.
Interesting. Well,
how about that, man? I wouldn't want to. You know what I mean? Like
so long.
Like if you've, I mean, I guess if you're just like waiting to get your chance to play, but he's been playing. Like, what do you? I don't know, man.
Yeah, it says he was at 21, 22 at UCF, and then last year Fresno. So I was wrong. He's coming. So he's coming.
Who you got? Tip somebody flying under the radar here.
No, so it's not. It's someone transferring away from a group of 5 school, but I think this school and this team, I think they're going to be fine. And it's actually a team that we saw last year in the Conference USA Championship game. That's New Mexico State. Diego Pavia transfers from New Mexico State to Vanderbilt, but we saw freshman last year, Blaze Berlowitz, ball out in that championship game when Pavia went out with that injury. I think it was a shoulder injury, I believe. But, man, Berlowitz looks like the real deal, and so he'll get his chance to start and shine for New Mexico State.
That's a great one. For some reason, I was thinking he left, but I guess it was just Pavia that left. New Mexico State is we were talking about it. Might have to make a little trip out west there, boys.
Love to.
You guys just tell me where to sign. You know, you guys get the itch. You guys just tell me, and then I'll go with it. But sorry, one more. Just actually, I saw it earlier in the week, and I was reminded of it as we're talking about the MAC a little bit. But Cole Snyder going from Buffalo to Eastern Michigan.
That is, yeah.
It's an interesting one because if you remember last year, we were kind of talking about him as being the next tier of the MAC, of the really good MAC quarterbacks, and now he goes over to Eastern Michigan. So we'll see if he can. And he's another one that I feel like has been in college for a long time. All these guys, dude.
Hey guys, everything I just said about New Mexico State, just cancel it.
What happened?
So I was looking at last year's roster, not this year's roster. Blaze Berlowitz went to Vanderbilt as well.
What? Both him and Pavia?
Yeah.
Who? Would their coordinator go there or something?
Didn't Kill went there as like
an analyst.
Something, yeah.
Interesting. That was my assumption. That was an assumption right there. I just assumed since Blaze Berlowitz knew he probably had the starting job that he stayed.
That's interesting. They both went to Vandy.
Yeah, I know.
Dumb.
Let me tell you. I mean, Nashville's popping.
Yeah, but
the Commodores ain't, but Nashville's popping.
No, they're not. No, they are not. Oh, man. So is Conference USA just Liberties to have or what?
I think it's Liberty, Western. Blue Raiders.
Yeah.
No, you know who I'm on. I might be on the old UTEP minor train again after.
UTEP.
talking to
Give
Scotty
me
Walters.
UAB as a sleeper year 2. Trent Dilfer there. Give me UAB.
I do like them in the American.
Well,
I do like them.
Yeah, they're
Because
not
Jacob Zeno, I mean, he at times last year showed promise, and then other times he just looked like he disappeared. But
yeah, I mean, but they're. I don't think they're on the level of a Memphis and a Tulane. I mean, we're talking about Tulane here as being a playoff contender, potentially to win a game or two in the playoffs. Like,
yeah, but you also think the South Florida Bulls are back.
But they're back, but they're not on that tier yet.
No.
What are the kids? The kids are saying now there's levels to this.
Look, Sprouse, you're spewing a lot of rat poison right now about Tulane. I don't think our boy Sumrall would appreciate it very much. Saying they're tier 1.
He's the one saying they're gonna win the playoff. I didn't say that. He said that. But anyway,
Jacksonville State.
Oh yeah, I actually love Jacksonville State. That's a great one.
They just constantly get forgot about. Yeah, I was gonna say they constantly just kind of just get slept on.
It's like, well, they're new, obviously, so they kind of keep slipping the mind, and then they're also in like the weirdest location. Like Jacksonville, Alabama is a different spot, and also, I mean, I have no idea how they're going to be, but Kennesaw State right in there too.
You do.
And like, that ought to be a little rivalry because they're like kind of on the same, like, it's just.
Well, it's like north of, or that's not far from Atlanta, right?
Yeah, it's like northwest or it might be directly west of Atlanta. And then Jacksonville, Alabama is just like a little bit further west than that. But it's like, you've just got, I mean, if you're anywhere in the state of Alabama or Georgia, like you're just in the worst two states for like, those kind of fans.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're Kennesaw State, like, I mean, not only do you have Athens right up the road, you have Atlanta and Georgia Tech right up the road, and you have Atlanta and Georgia State right up the road. Like Georgia Tech and Georgia State are in the same city, and Kennesaw is just in the suburbs of that same city, which, by the way, is such a bad city. I mean, I'm telling you, I had to drive up. I've told y'all before the show. I've been up there like the last 3 weekends. I mean, it's not that bad. Like, it's just the traffic, dude. It's just
horrible.
It's awful. Every highway, every bypass, every direction, every time of day, just always a wreck. And it's usually like some BS fender bender that's on the shoulder, but everybody in Atlanta's got a freaking rubberneck the thing. And just call. I mean, it took me like 4 hours to get home on Friday, and it's like a 2-hour drive if there's no traffic. But anyway, Combine. Just give Mitchell his flowers, man. I'm so giddy about it because
you got a man crush.
I do. Here's why though. We were on him before the season, okay? And then we saw him live, and it confirmed what we saw. So we've been on here talking about it. And it's just like we've had guys from the group of 5 go have good combines and good pro days and good senior bowls, but never like this. Never to where we're like, dude, this guy's freaking good. And then everybody on every network is like, holy shit, this is #1 corner in the draft, potentially. And he's up there. It was so funny listening to Kuiper the other day. He's sitting there talking about, he said Mitchell's a clear #1. But then the next couple guys, it's like the kid out of Iowa, kid from Bama. It's all these Bamas. It's all these blue bloods. And then it's little old Toledo out of the little old MAC pushing out the #1 corner in the draft.
And I just love his response when they asked him about Toledo, and he's like, and they took a chance on me. He's like, and I wanted to finish my time at Toledo. Like, they took a chance on me, and I was going to stay. And it's everything. I swear, when we interview coaches, they're like, film matters. The NFL will find you. Like, just ball. That's all you have to do, and then back it up when you go to the Senior Bowl or the Combine. Like, now this guy's probably going to get picked in the top 15 of the entire draft. So, He's just the coolest dude. Like we got to talk to him at the Senior Bowl, and the guy was just awesome.
That's right. Well, you know who he reminded me of that we all loved after we talked to him was Tyrese Chambers when he was down at FIU. You remember we talked to him and we're like, damn, dude, that guy's like such a good dude.
Yeah.
And you don't know, like that's the thing when we get these interviews on here, we have no idea how it's gonna go. Most of the time going in, we're like, sure, we're like, hopefully this is a guy that can talk. And like, at the Senior Bowl, we talked about it when we were down there. There's a zillion media people that are trying to like snake right in front of you to get an interview, and everybody's going after him because he's had 2 like fantastic days at practice. So we're at the media thing and we're trying to figure out, all right, let's sneak in here now. Let's grab him. But dude, coolest dude. And then, his answer at the combine about staying at Toledo, staying in the MAC, as that one jackass reporter said. That's how you know. Dude, oh, man. That's how you know that these guys, they don't even watch. They don't even watch. And they just form an opinion based on what somebody told them.
Exactly.
How does it feel to represent the MAC?
Nobody calls it that.
It's like, bro, have you ever watched any college football? I mean, even ESPN calls it the MAC.
Our guy Alex Shear from the CSE podcast probably had a heart attack when he heard that reporter ask.
He probably did.
Well, we should just start doing it. I mean, we'll instead of SEC, they're the SEC. And just start
calling
I like that.
Let's just start doing that.
I mean, come on, you guys are in the SEC conference for crying out loud. That's pretty good. I like that.
That is pretty good.
But dude, the guy he goes out there runs a 4.33 40, and here's probably the more impressive number:
bench
20 reps on the bench. I mean, that guy's he gets up there in press man coverage. He's jamming the shit out of that receiver.
Well, then did you see he? So in his combine interview at the press conference, he gave credit to the head coach, and then he gave credit to the strength coach. So then he tweeted a video of him squatting like 505 for reps.
505,
bro. I want people to understand how crazy these numbers are. First of all, how crazy a 4.33 40 is. Like, I bet the average Joe, never played a sport, is probably like 7 seconds. Joe that played a sport, played maybe a little college, played at a high level in high school. At our age, I mean, I'm right now probably high fives, probably maybe not even.
I was gonna ask if you think.
I don't know if I would break 6 right today. Now, if I trained a little bit, because
I mean, I'm running 4.5 right now, no problem.
Yeah, so does everybody else at the rivals camp. Dude, my hamstring is going, first of all. Right, after the first 10.
Here's the deal. I'm putting this out there to anybody that's willing to host us. We'll come and do a whole combine, laser time, bench reps.
Now I'll be
shuttle drill.
No
way. I'll bench you.
No. You will? Come
on.
But
I got messed up.
I know. I don't know. I don't think I could. Honestly, right now I could probably do like 15 or 16 on 225.
Yeah, more than I can do.
That's more than you ever could do.
Child, please.
But no, dude, and even when he ran the 40, I can't think of the guy's name on NFL Network that was on the commentary, but he literally was like, check. He just ran it and he goes, check. That's all he said. And then he was like, every box, he's checking it off. And that's the thing. Like, you don't have to, if there's a question mark about playing in the MAC, you go answer it at the Senior Bowl.
Yep.
You don't, it's so much less of a risk. Go, Jeff. Let's hash it out, dude.
So are you saying like you're going to go to the combine and not throw and not interview and not run and not bench and only interview with the teams that you want to interview? Are you talking about a guy named Caleb Williams?
Jeff.
Are you going to open up this can of worms, Sprouse?
Yeah, dude, look. I honestly feel bad for him.
I do too.
Because his dad is the problem. And this is what we've said about the transfer portal, about NIL, about any of this stuff. 9 times out of 10, it's not really the kid. Like, they're just looking for guidance, right? Like, they here, let me give you a little analogy. Believe this or not, went to church on Sunday. You know what they were talking about? The youth, and he was talking about the so many different influences that the youth have in 2024 that, like, we didn't necessarily have, coming from social media, YouTube, TikTok, all this stuff. And he said something that kind of stuck with me. He's like, the kids want to do right, but they don't really know what's right because there's so much information coming at them at every different direction. And that's how I feel like these kids with the portal and with NIL, they just don't know, and they want to do right. And when it's their dad, like, of course, any boy wants to do right by their dad. Like, that's like, yeah. And so his dad is the one that's asking agents to change the entire to blow up the whole player.
Because he doesn't have an agent.
No, it's his dad, Carl. Carl. I mean, dude, this is the thing, man. I obviously none of us, especially me, were ever in a position to be, drafted or any of that.
Of course.
But I do remember going through, like, the recruiting process in high school, and I'm so thankful that my parents and my dad let it be my thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, man. I don't know, but anytime, it's just a red flag. It's just all it is. And this is what I was talking to my in-laws about it. My in-laws are Bears fans, and I got them real worried because I am telling them how bad this bust is going to be. But, he might be fine, really. If he's a good player, I think. Jeff, you disagree, but I think he's fine. But here's the thing. When he goes to a team that's not very good and they start losing, or he doesn't have protection, or he doesn't have weapons, guess who's going to be the most vocal about it? His daddy. He's going to be all over social media. He's going to be all in the media doing this stuff. This is LeVar Ball times 100.
That's a good comparison.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's the same thing. I hate that we have to have the conversation that somebody's father is the bad influence on their playing career and is doing more harm than good to this kid. Because if his dad would just shut his mouth, this is the clear number 1 draft pick. And he's going to make more money than this family's ever had. And everything's going to be fine. And if he plays the way his dad and him seem to think he can play, he's going to get more money in sponsorships than anybody could ever imagine. But instead, his dad's trying to change the contract, and his dad's trying to say he doesn't want to go to certain teams and stuff like that. It's just a bad look.
Yeah. And that's the last thing. And there's a couple of guys I want to highlight from the group of 5 that had good combines. But you just had, you already have a reputation about yourself, and, you got teammates that are saying things about you in their interviews at the Senior Bowl and at the Combine. Like, you have an opportunity, in my opinion, to either disprove or reaffirm things that are being said about you. And when you just basically decide to not do any of it, and then like, I'll talk to you guys, but I'm not going to talk to you guys. Like, I think you're reaffirming all the bad stereotypes that have been portrayed. Like, so I'm fine with you saying, like, go watch my film. Like, if you want to see me work out, go watch my film. Well, buddy, I've watched your film. And you miss a lot of reads.
What you see, Jeff?
You miss a lot of reads. You're late on a lot of stuff, and you're quick to run out of the pocket. And like, yeah, you're a phenomenal athlete, and you got arm talent, and you can throw from angles, and people want to compare you to Patrick Mahomes. Go watch Patrick Mahomes play at Texas Tech his last year, and then go watch his evolution in the NFL. That guy only runs when he has to. He is cerebral. He knows what he's seeing. He can change and get into the plays that he wants to, and he does it under pressure. Caleb Williams has not shown that at USC, and that's why his backup in the bowl game had like 6 or 7 touchdowns. Why? Because he plays within the offense and understands what he's seeing and throws things on time when they're supposed to. So that's the only thing I'll say about that.
Whoa. One last thing on it.
It's like the bad Caleb Williams
show. Yeah. Well, what makes Patrick Mahomes so special is also the same thing that makes a lot of quarterbacks so bad. So, like, just those, like, it's what makes Josh Allen make a lot of stupid throws. And you're expecting a guy to be Mahomes, but more than likely, the odds say he's not going to be Mahomes. You know what I mean?
There's one Mahomes, and he's Patrick Mahomes, and
that's right.
And like, this is coming from a Raider fan that like it killed me to watch the Super Bowl because it was the Niners and the Chiefs. Like, I'm giving Mahomes props. That dude does things that most guys cannot, and he's the only one like him. So when you get all these comparisons that he's the next Mahomes, it's like, buddy, go look at his senior year and go look at Williams. It ain't the same. That's all I'm saying. But you know who did surprise me at the Combine?
Who's that?
Mohamed Kamara.
Good player.
D lineman out of Colorado State. I mean, for a big man running a 4.57, that's moving for a big man. And he's already got the motor, and I heard them talking about it. They're like, we love this guy's motor, and these numbers that he's putting out right now, like, they back up what we see on film.
Well, and you know, we were all sitting there watching that Colorado State Colorado game, and
he was hurt
Kamara
game.
Was crushing. What he was a problem. Yeah. And then of course he had the late hit, or I think it was the late hit. So then the following week we saw him live, but we only saw him for that half. And as soon as that guy came into the game against Middle, right, he was a problem.
Yep.
And probably changed. I mean, not probably, he did change the game. So he's a game changer. That's a good one. I mean, the Troy guys performed. I think Kamani more so than Solomon. Solomon, how many times did he hit the bench? 100? Looks
probably.
Like but yeah, Kamani looked good. He was fast, man. And I mean, and same thing. I have been shocked at the difference between the coverage of the Group of Five on NFL Network. And maybe it's because NFL Network, they've had a few Group of Five games now. Actually, matter of fact, I know they had Troy more than once last year on like some of those Thursday or Friday night or Tuesday. One of the weeknight games, NFL Network was doing it. And so maybe they've got a little more respect for these Group of Five players and teams, because they've definitely had more good stuff. Not any, I tweeted about it, not any like, oh, he was good for a Sunbelt guy or whatever. It was just like when Solomon or Kamani were going, they were like, Troy, great program. And then they went down DeMarcus Ware, OCU Maniora. This is and I got a little tear in my eye to see it happen, to just see these guys. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking like, man, like if there's only a group of guys doing this all year long for multiple years, singing the praises of all these guys, I'd like to find them.
No, be crazy.
Anyway,
last one. Solomon got 23 reps on the bench, by the way.
23 is pretty good.
That's pretty solid.
That's pretty good.
The last one I'll go with is I think Luke McCaffrey measured at 6'2". That's taller than I thought he was, and then runs a 4.46. That's moving. That's faster than his brother ran at the Combine. So, and I hope these guys get an opportunity at the next level. They deserve it, and I think they're going to do well if they get that opportunity.
He also had the third best time on the 3-cone drill.
Sure did.
Out of everyone.
Yeah. Out of all positions. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
right. Yeah.
Well, he's more quick than fast. Have you ever seen those? It used to be on the I would say it was like Rich Eisen used to do. This is so politically incorrect, but you'd look at the scouting report and guess whether or not a guy was a white or a person of color.
Oh, God.
And it was like, they would be like, anytime it was a white receiver who was like more quick than fast, tough, great route runner. But sorry.
They'd be like, what's the term? They not smart, but they'd call them like, they'd have a term for like
very high football IQ.
Yeah, or something like that.
Stuff like that. Yeah. It's always like that. But anyway, yeah, they did the side by side, with him and Christian running, and he's faster than Christian, but we talked about it before. He's taller and longer.
Yeah.
More like Ed McCaffrey versus Christian. But I think he'll get a shot, man. I think he'll get a shot in his benefit based on the name.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, his dad was a great player. His brother's the best offensive player in the league. So the pedigree's there.
Genes are there.
Yeah, ain't no doubt about it. One other one, Marshawn Nealand out of Western Michigan. he didn't like jump off the screen at the combine, but all the commentary they had about him was really good, talking about him and what a great Senior Bowl he had. So I think he's going to be he'll be he's definitely going to get drafted. He might be a third day guy. I don't know what they have him at, but I think Mitchell's a surefire first rounder.
At this point,
I mean, it'd be so tight if he goes in the top 15, top 10.
I hope he goes to Las Vegas.
I mean, he's starting to climb up in the same way. I was talking to one of y'all in the same way as like Sauce started climbing up towards the after the bowl season and all that stuff. So Quinyon Mitchell, man, we were rooting for that guy.
Absolutely.
For sure. Is that all we got?
That's all we got for that. But Sprouse, we got a voicemail we got to play.
Do we have a voicemail?
We do.
Yes.
A little off-season check-in. Our boy Stu's Right from Twitter.
Hey, boys. Stu's Right from Twitter here. A little off-season check-in. Just wanted to call and say congrats on the 100th episode. Love everything you guys are doing. I hate Swag Bear's no longer with us. Glad he's still alive, but, miss him on the show. Sprouse, praying for your mom. Sorry to hear about all that. Just wanted to put that out there. Congrats to Creme Brulee on Jordan McLeod, man. That's a sick get. Still hope y'all lose every game, but it'll be fun to watch him run around for the Bobcats instead of JMU. Shout out to Steeple, Terry, Zachary Branner, all the guys I missed. Looking forward to football season and following in the spring. Anyways, just want to say congrats on the 100th episode. Love you guys, and we'll stay in touch. Talk to you later.
Love you too, Stu.
Love you,
Hell
Stu.
yeah, Stu. Appreciate that. Everybody, let's get this thing ramped back up here. We should start, starting to get closer.
Hotline's open.
Wide open. 615-900-4286. If you're a new listener and you don't know, call that number, 615-900-4286. Leave a voicemail. You got what is it, Jeff? 3-minute time limit? 2-minute? Keep it short. All right.
I would say at least 2 minutes. I got to check. I can't remember if they've changed it.
But also, if you call, you don't have to say your real name, but give us a Twitter handle or Instagram handle, something we can identify. Let us know who you're a fan of if you're a new caller. Leave a voicemail, man. Hot take, anything you're celebrating, anything Group of Five football related, or hey, man.
It's off season right now. We can
Anything.
talk. March Madness is coming up. Let's talk basketball.
Drop a topic.
Baseball. Like
Yeah.
Murph was watching some baseball over the weekend.
Carolina. I mean, they can hit the ball, boys. Bash it's at the beach. Although some people would claim it's not the beach.
We time-lapsed it.
I know
Remember.
we did.
Did we post it? Did we ever post that out?
Didn't. We should have.
I couldn't hold it.
It was like a long
45-minute
time-lapse.
video.
It was a long. Even when I sped it up, it was still like 15 minutes.
Oh man. Well, hey, next week we've got Inside Drill, UTEP head coach Scotty Walden. Awesome interview talking about El Paso, talking about the state, talking about the Sun Bowl being full again, getting that thing rocking again. Talk about Jeff having that steak down there at 700 degrees or whatever it's called.
17, I think, or 1800.
1700 degrees. Yeah, 700 is not really that hot.
No.
But really good conversation with Coach Walden. That's going to come out next week. We've had Derek Mason on, Major Applewhite on. We had Jack Rasmussen of Cadix Cleats on. So check all those out. Go over to the YouTube channel, search Group of Five Guys, subscribe to the channel, leave us a 5-star rating, leave a review, tell your family and friends all about us. Go over to Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, follow us at Group of Five Guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of here. We'll catch you next week with Coach Walden.